Two young men, heirs to a multi-million-dollar fortune. A brutal murder that shocked Beverly Hills. Was it cold-blooded greed or a cry for justice? This is the story of the Menendez brothers. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Lindsay Unfiltered. And today we will be discussing the Menendez brothers. The Menendez brothers will be M for our scandal series. And we have a very pressing question when it comes to the Menendez brothers. Are they victims or are they villains? Now I'm going to give a backstory of the Menendez case, review some of the evidence with you all, and I want you to decide. Now in this video, we will be reviewing the confession tapes that one of the brothers had with his therapist. We will look into the actual evidence that we have to come to a conclusion if these brothers are truthfully villains or are they victims. If you like content like this that revolves around true crime, scandal, controversy with a twist of humor, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have a lot to offer here. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give you guys a brief background of the case for those of you who don't know what the Menendez case is. Then from there, we will delve into the evidence. Before we get into the evidence, for those of you who don't know who Lyle and Eric Menendez are, Lyle Menendez was born on January 10th, 1968, and Eric Menendez was born on November 27th, 1970. They are known for being convicted for the unaliving of their parents in 1989. Parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, were a very, very wealthy couple that lived in Beverly Hills, California. Jose Menendez was a record executive, so he saw lots of profits from that and was a businessman overall. From what we know, there was a lot of dysfunction in the Menendez family. Jose was said to be very overbearing and controlling, and their mother, Kitty, just seemed to play into her husband's hand. Whatever Jose said went, allegedly. She was just as submissive as the rest. Now we have to go to the night of August 20th, 1989. That is the fateful night when the brothers walked in and unalived their parents with shotguns. Double barrel shotguns. And it wasn't just once, they were a blasting. The autopsy report even said that their father was decapitated by the blast, and their mother wasn't that well off either. It was a horrific, brutal unaliving of their parents. Why would they do this? At first, the brothers denied all involvement. They even called the police and claimed someone had unalived their parents. Come to find out, the brothers had spent a lot of money, went on a lavish spending spree, until one of the brothers had told his therapist what he'd done. He couldn't live with himself. And after some months, those confessions came to light. When Eric and Lyle Menendez went to court, their defense was a strong one. They alleged that their father, Jose Menendez, had essayed them since they were 6 years old. And they had chilling and gruesome stories to go along with it. And they also alleged that their mother knew about the abuse, but let it continue anyway. Their first trial resulted in a hung jury, which means the jurors could not decide whether or not to convict them of the unaliving of their parents. But when they went back to court for the second trial, they were found guilty and sentenced to life without parole. There is a huge controversy in question on whether or not these acts were done in self-defense. Eric and Lyle testified that they believed their parents were going to unalive them first, so this was just a way to protect themselves. But I believe this crime of passion is way more than what meets the eye. Now we're going to look at those confession tapes together, the therapy tapes that led to the brothers' arrest. I'm going to stop it, analyze it, and give my unfiltered opinion on the evidence that we listened to. Let's listen. Okay, guys, so we have part of the Menendez brother, Eric, speaking to his therapist, Dr. Oziel. Now, this is live court footage from back in 1989. We're going to review it together. It's about 15 minutes, and I'm going to give my unfiltered opinions, and I urge you to give your unfiltered opinions in the comments. I'm going to tag the Menendez case, which is a YouTube channel that made all this evidence readily available. Here we go.
I mean, isn't that really after all, isn't that what it was about, Tony? I mean, wasn't it about the amount of absolute control and the ruthlessness in terms of just completely, almost being like an automaton? It was focused on, I mean, it's like, do you think your father had any sense of what he even was doing to you? Or do you think that your father basically was so much on automatic pilot in terms of being focused on control and domination that did he not care? Or do you not know? What do you think? Eric, how about you saying something here? You haven't said a whole lot. What do you think? I just don't like hearing it. What does that mean? I don't like hearing it. You don't like hearing what? I don't like hearing these things about my father. Okay. What do you feel? Upset. Yeah. Hurt. Sad. What? Well, I pushed them out of my mind. And my father and my mother were two people that I love, and I still like them. It doesn't matter what they were or what they actually were. Whether it's a fantasy or it wasn't. They were very apparent in my mind before this and led up to the fact where I had no choice. I would have taken any other choice. Because I look back on it and realizing when people are worth so I much regret it. I may not have had a choice at the time, but I regret it now. And I simply
So the therapist is talking about Jose Menendez's controlling nature, and Eric is saying, don't talk about my parents like that, as if he's not the one that pulled the trigger. He says, I felt like I had to at the time, but now I realize how much people are worth. I can't turn back the page now, but I wish I could have. So this leads me to believe he feels like he made a mistake. He feels like he made a mistake. So if it was truly in self-defense, if it was his life or his parents' life, I don't think he would so much say he regretted it. If it was his life or their life, why is there so much regret? Because they're your parents and you love them? I'm having a hard time understanding that. You alleged to your therapist that you did this because your father is a very controlling man. You may not have had a choice at the time, but you regret it now. Regret. Meaning that this could have gone a different way. Can we be fair in saying this could have gone a different way? It didn't have to end in the unaliving of your parents?
I like the image that I had when I was 14 or so. Where, I had a mother and father that loved each other and loved me, and it was that kind of relationship. And I try to bring that back in my mind. It's kind of like it was like that, and I like it. It's simple and deep, and I don't like hearing my father lived in this sort of way.
Here's Eric right here.
He was somebody that I loved, and almost had no choice to do what I did. And I hate myself for doing it. And I understand why it was done when I came last to life, because because of the love that I had for my mother, and how it was such a distance separating the family from one else. And no one understood. And how having to listen to the fights. And somebody be yelling and screaming and all this taking place downstairs. And finding blood on the bed and different things. I just tried to rationalize it. And I break down every once in a while because it's really difficult. I love my father and I love everyone I can. And it's more difficult because of my mother, because I realize what an amazing tragedy of her life for us compared to what it could have been because of my father. And I hate him for that. And I love him. And it was something that was beyond control. And what was beyond control? Did you have plans? Eventually, it had to happen. It was basically ruining my life, and I get slaps, and it was putting another through torture, and it got to a point where
Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll stop here for a second. He says he was ruining my life and Lyle's and my mother's. Okay, now with the allegations of SA, we can understand why his life and Lyle's life would be ruined. But if you allege that he was ruining your mother's life, why did you take her life? Why did you take your mother's life? Why didn't you talk to your mother? I understand these things aren't as easy as A, B, C. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. As simple. It's not. I know it's not that easy, but I feel like he's portraying this type of love for his mother as if his father took so much from his mother, but you took even more from your mother. If we're going to be realistic, you took more from her. And I know there are a lot of Menendez brothers supporters. I'm just giving my unfiltered opinion on this. You claim to love her. He took so much from her. So why wouldn't she be spared? That's the thing that I want to know. Right? That's when those theories about, oh, they just wanted the money comes in. I think it's definitely more than money. I think it's way more than money, right? And you can obviously see that. But you allege that he took so much from your mother and then you take her out. Just does not make rational sense to me. I'm going to review him on the stand as well. I don't know how long he was up there on the stand. I'm going to do a video of him on the stand as well, so we can see his unfiltered, raw emotion when it comes to speaking on his father.
Amazing. And he would do great things for me. And I wouldn't understand why. I know that she loved me. Somehow he just
Couldn't ever tell you the truth.
no.
I was there. I remember when your mom called me and told me that your dad was disinheriting you because he didn't like how you were behaving at the table. And he thought you weren't being respectful enough. But he couldn't tell you because he never talked about feelings, and he wouldn't talk about feelings. And I remember telling you that, and you didn't even look that surprised. That must have been what your dad was like to me.
Well, I'm sad because I look back on where I'm now with my parents, and I wish it would have been so much more different. I look back and I wish that my mother and I would have had an extremely close relationship, and I would tell her everything that happened over. I would tell her everything. And all my relationships with different people and everything. She wanted to know, and I was raised that I couldn't tell her. That she couldn't express to me, and I wish I had a closer relationship with my father. It was dreams that I have. And
You couldn't be close to either one of them.
no, I just was never given a chance to. From an early age, it's just, I guess, was taught to go follow that, but you don't
You just don't want it.
have a close relationship.
You just don't talk about feelings and what's going on.
You keep it inside.
Did you ever try to tell your mom or talk to your mom about what your dad was doing?
No, I couldn't face that. I left that up to my brother. I couldn't face that. That is what I told my brother on the phone, and he, I couldn't. I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to realize. But I knew that if my mom had died, I would have to leave. I would have to leave. And it didn't matter because I always thought that I could make all this money where it wouldn't make a difference. And I didn't, leaving wouldn't be a problem. I would have to do it. And I couldn't live with them anymore. And I love them. And I guess I was taught to love him because he was your father. And because I wanted to love him. And that's why Lyle cannot probably face the fact that my mother had to be killed. And really the only way out. And the only way out for her, and that's why he cannot even face it. After his mother, and he goes, if you would have to face that.
I mean, you don't get to say that someone's only way out is to unalive them. That's not your call. That's not your call. You don't get to play God or whatever higher power you believe in. You don't get to play that. You don't get to say you have to go at this time because life is just that meaningless for you. You don't get to make that call. You nor your brother. And I understand the allegations. It's really hard for me to understand how, even in Gypsy Rose's case, how they do these things because they were abused. And then they claim self-defense. I understand where they are coming from in terms of abuse, and it's wrong, and it should not be happening. But it's different to conspire to unalive someone and do it as retribution for years of abuse than just to snap in a way and unalive someone. You guys conspired, you guys planned, you guys plotted. In the same way with Gypsy Rose, there was a long window There was a huge window of time where you could have said, wait a minute, let's think about this again. Let's think about this again. Wait a minute. It wasn't a spur of the moment act. And that's where it gets hairy for me. Because when you start talking about Gypsy Rose, when you start talking about Lyle Menendez, Eric Menendez, the planning, the plotting, the days where you had that thought in your head and you went ahead and carried it out. That is the biggest thing for me.
I understand that. Me too. Because it's just so sad. And I don't know, in ways I'm pissed off that it was like it. In other ways, I'm glad that he being such a strong person, but I really can't say whether I would have wanted another kind of father. In this relationship for me. And I don't. I mean, I have all kinds of things about it. And from a dream where I had was trying to convince two of my friends to shoot me. And they wouldn't do it. No matter how hard I tried to convince them, so I took the gun that was in my hand and shot myself several times in the heart. And then I died. And there was a moment where it was just an immense pleasure. I was happy and there was no tension on my mind, there was no stress, and everything was calm and everything was great. And then I woke up in the morning and I was upset that I was alive because of the great feeling that I had when I was no longer alive.
What kind of feeling?
There was no oppression, and there was no more sadness to be had. And you no longer had to feel sad about your parents. And because it's just so mixed. And I guess one of the hard things about it is that everyone now, they don't know the truth, and they can't relate. And that's difficult.
You can't relate to any of the feelings you have.
Exactly.
And there's so much pain, and you know, it's so clear that both of you are relating to the, not so much to the pain that you had in being in the family, although there was a lot of pain there. You both knew you could escape that. You were about to go away to school while you already were away. But the pain of knowing that your mother was going to be left behind and victimized, and that she was so defensive and protective of your father that even while she was being totally destroyed by him, that she was blocking absolutely even your love for her, and you're trying to help her, especially you, Lyle, well, trying to talk with her, that you were blamed for it. Here you were loving her and trying to care for her, and instead you got blamed for it, and there was an absolute denial of what was happening, and yet you knew the pain she was in. You saw her totally deteriorating, and I mean, it's almost like, I mean, your love for your mother was, and the pain with her getting just totally brutalized over all those years was like it was a lot worse than the pain you went through being with your dad. Or you thought you could deal with your dad more than your mother. Your mother couldn't deal with your dad. Your mother had no ability to deal with your dad.
I mean, Lyle and I definitely had a different kind of relationship with our parents in different ways. We certainly dealt with it differently. Like I got scared with Lyle. When I wasn't sure. Lyle and I really didn't talk about how each other was feeling that much after this all happened. And we talked about getting ignorant about our feelings. And we probably related some more, I think, because we weren't supposed to. My parents didn't share. And he told me that he was very depressed and so on. And I didn't know it because, we hadn't talked about it. He was showing his feelings are different from mine. He was open about it. And I got worried. What this depression into Lyle, because I mean, he killed himself. And I cried about that one for a while.
Have you ever tell Lyle before? Is this the first time Lyle knows him?
Yeah, I don't tell much. But
Why don't you look at me? Tell me that you're really worried about it. Eric? Eric? No. Come on. Look at him. Tell your brother. Eric? No.
What I can say about this, from hearing this tape and listening to this tape, I feel like Lyle, well, I can say Eric because Eric is the one who's speaking. I feel like Eric definitely feels remorse. I feel like Eric definitely isn't the serial unaliver type. He definitely isn't the person to do this type of thing and then do it again and again and again, because this one thing, I feel, in my opinion, has scarred him for the rest of his life. And I feel like he has resent. I feel like he has remorse, and it's replaying in his head every day. That is a punishment. That is more of a punishment than anything else. Some people unalive people and don't have a second thought. They're not sitting in therapist's office seeking help. They're not having thoughts about unaliving themselves. So I don't think it's in his character, in my opinion, to just be this big bad unaliver. I watched the documentary Monsters, and it said a couple of times they were sociopaths. I feel like the sociopath would not go to the therapist after doing that. The sociopath would not express how much they loved the person they did it to. The sociopath would not seek help. The sociopath would not try to dig themselves out of the pit of depression with therapy. The sociopath would not be here. I mean, they could. They truly could. But I feel like the way he's expressing his feelings about his parents to the therapist, I just see a lot of guilt, a lot of mental torment, a lot of those types of feelings. Remorse, absolutely. Regret, absolutely. I definitely see that through these tapes, from Eric at least. I haven't heard Lyle speak. He did say that Lyle was more closed off about his emotions after the murder.
No, don't be tough and strong. This is what you're trying to undo that happened.
Being tough and strong, I know.
No, but he needs to tell you.
No,
Well, let him do this. He needs to do this. And you know what? This is part of your way of undoing what happened in your family. Eric needs to express his pain his way, and he needs to tell you how much he loves you and how concerned he was for you. It's really important. I know you're stepping in to try to save him, but you know what? The best way for him to really be able to save himself and for you to get closer and have that contact is for you to be able to talk to him. You couldn't talk to him then. But, Eric, can you turn towards Lyle and tell him what you feel? You can do it.
there's no reason to.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Come on. This is what it was all about. The reason this was all about, what this was all about, was you not having done this in vain, but for you really to get to the place where you can deal with your feelings and not be a prisoner of whatever happened in your family. So, yeah, there's a reason.
You love life? Yeah, we learn to express each other in different ways.
You know, would you love life?
Yes.
You told me that between the two of you, if one of you was going to die, you'd rather you die and that Lyle lived. Did you say that? Did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. What are you feeling?
Things that didn't work out effectively. I agree that Eric and I need to. Our whole family works behind closed doors, just like politics, and last one of them fought for politics. It was all closed game, and we still play a game that. I wish I was very close to Eric, and we made all our decisions together. And when it came to advice, he came to me first. Just like
Remember how hurt you were when Eric told me what happened, and I remember the hurt, the pain. You Did you talk to him about it first that you felt really violated? That was real painful to you. I remember that.
Yeah, the worst thing about it was that, there's so much, it could be something, it's just like the tragedy of the family. It could be another tragedy if we don't be very close, because, and tell each other things first and so on, and trust that we care. It's very hard to trust that you care. We've been taught to deal with it ourselves and then go a roundabout way and let up when it's necessary.
Did Lyle just say there could be another tragedy if he doesn't keep it within the family? Basically threatening the therapist? Or am I getting that wrong? Let's play it back. Let's play it back one more time.
There's so much, it could be something, it's just like the tragedy of the family. It could be another tragedy if we don't be very close, because, and tell each other things first and so on, and trust that we care. It's very hard to trust that you care. We've been taught to deal with it.
Just like the tragedy of the family, it could be another tragedy if we don't be very close. What does that mean? I don't know if that's a threat. I don't know if that's a way of saying, ooh, it's idle, or I don't know what Lyle meant by that. But we listened to part of the confession tapes with the therapist. There is a lot more of evidence out there. That is just a small snippet of Eric speaking on his feelings about his parents to his therapist, with Lyle chiming in at the end. So, what do you all think? Are the Menendez brothers victims or villains from just this little snippet of information that I've given you? You have to take into consideration they were their parents. They were extremely wealthy. There were serious allegations that their father SA'd both of them. There were serious allegations that they were taken out of or disinherited from their father's will. The act itself was absolutely brutal. Shotguns to the face, to the head, to every part of the body until they couldn't go anymore. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be covering Eric on the stand. That'll be coming next. It'll probably be chopped up into several videos, maybe 3 videos. That video will be coming next. I will cut it up into a couple of videos. So you guys get ready, because we're about to have a Menendez Brothers playlist. I know this was highly requested, so I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to share, guys. Share. Like the video. Share. Like the video. Share. Like the video. Share. We're trying to get back on track after the week that we took off. So please, guys, help us out. Share it everywhere. Join my Facebook. Invite all your friends. Do what you need to do. Let's get the content rolling. We are on the road to 1,600 followers, and we will get there with your help. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. This has been Lindsay Unfiltered. Bye now.